Welcome, everyone. You found Sanctuary's Coffee and Conversation. My name is Myrna Haskell. I'm executive editor of Sanctuary Magazine. If you're not familiar, this is an online publication that empowers and inspires women with a focus on the arts, humanitarian pursuits, health and wellness, inspirational travel, career, and finance. You can find us at sanctuary-magazine.com. Today, my guest is Yvonne Kasper. She is a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, and she also is a certified cancer exercise specialist. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Yvonne. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to speak to you about it.
I know, and so our topic actually speaks directly to your certification because we're going to talk about the benefits of exercise specifically for people who are battling cancer or recovering, perhaps early in remission. So I wanted to, though, talk about the certification itself at first because I wasn't familiar there was something like that out there. And when we first had a conversation about it, I was amazed. So I'm hoping you'll talk about what it means to be certified, what it entailed to get the certification, and then also perhaps the inspiration behind you wanted to help those with cancer.
Okay. Well, a cancer exercise specialist, which I actually didn't even know anything about it, is a health and fitness professional like myself. I'm a certified personal trainer, and I, focus on nutrition as well, who is qualified to assess, design and implement an exercise, program for someone with cancer or who has, who's, a cancer survivor. So that is, it's really exciting. When I found out that this was actually even a possible place I could learn as much as I could about different cancers and it's, all the treatments behind it and, how to prevent it and how, to help my clients and people out there. So I've reached out to the Cancer Exercise Training Institute. They specialize in training, health and fitness professionals to help their clients with, creating specific, exercise programs for cancer patients and survivors.
Wow. And I'm so glad that that's out there. And I didn't know about it either. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not familiar with it. So I know that we all know, exercise should be part of your regular wellness day-to-day, healthy living regimen, right? It improves cardio health and all of that. But I'm wondering if you'll dig in a little bit and talk about some of the specific benefits for those dealing with health concerns like cancer.
Well, for one, it reduces your pain, it increases your energy, especially for those who are in treatment. It helps your mood. I mean, that's the top three that I've really taken away from helping people that are, in treatment with cancer. I mean, they'll come into a training session feeling down, depressed, and leave being so much happier. So, I mean, that is just that is, and then feeling stronger too, and being stronger. So everyone's like, oh, I have cancer, I can't exercise. But I've heard that a lot. And, and more doctors, oncologists are telling their patients, no, exercise, because it will help the energy and all the side effects of all the treatments that they're receiving. So, it depends on where you are in your treatment, of course, right after chemotherapy. So with certain chemotherapies, we have to wait several days. But, this is why I got the certification. I was getting more and more clients who had cancer or were cancer survivors. And I was researching each one, and it was just kind of trying to grab different information, calling different doctors, trying to find all I could find. And when I got this, found out about the certification, I was like, okay, here it is in one place. So I could at least go from there, to help the clients that I have.
Yeah, and I heard you mention mood. And when you said that, that's really a big thing, right? So, we've talked on this program before with some wellness experts about, stress and mood and, how the body-mind connection, I guess I want to say. And I've also done a lot of research on the fact that mood and attitude and being in a happy place as much as you can when you're ill like that actually helps the physical body, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, really, especially when you're going into a chemotherapy session, you know what it's doing to your body. You really have to go in feeling as strong, positive as possible, and just feeling empowered. Like, I can do this. I have all of the strength I have with, behind me with my friends, my family, my trainer, so, I just, I want to help as much as possible. Like, you can get through this. You can get through this. And, a positive mindset. I mean, even every once in a while I'll get down and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to, get out of this and feel stronger and be more positive to get through your day. Because even with the workout, any little workout, I'm like, you can do this. Remember, you can do this. It's your mind. It gives up before your body does.
Yeah, and do you feel that you pump yourself up more for these groups when
Oh,
you, as opposed to, your clients that don't necessarily have a specific health issue, but they just want to live a healthy lifestyle? Do you feel like a big part of what you're doing is trying to share your enthusiasm and your happiness and your, go get them, you can do this kind of attitude with those clients?
I really don't feel that. I mean, I feel different. Every client's different. Every group is different. I do both group training and personal training. So before I walk into any group, I look at who or person, I look at who it is. I say a prayer for them. Everybody's going through a different struggle, whether it's cancer or, something, mental health issue. It just, so I really feel like I have to bring my all to it.
You bring it all the time.
I have to, because I mean, that's what they want. That's what they need. That's what I like. We feed off each other. You're in anyone's like, profession. You really have to kind of be it all. But yeah, it's definitely a special population because they are, my cancer clients are just going through so much, So my heart goes out to them, and it could be any one of us. It could be me tomorrow, so, you're just trying to live our healthiest life. And
Yeah, and I know that we all have had a family member or a friend or a colleague or a neighbor or somebody that we know who has battled cancer. Some of them have won the battle, some haven't. And so this is such an important topic we're talking about, because I know the whole nutrition thing has been big and there's been a lot of books out. You're actually a nutrition coach too. So do you, when you give these exercise lessons to those clients that have cancer, do you talk at all about nutrition as part of that, or is that something separate in your business?
that is something separate, because oncology nutrition is a separate, entity. Really, you have to get, if you need help with nutrition and you're in, a cancer patient, you really need to go to someone that's specialized in that. There's so
Okay.
many, with different cancer treatments, there's so many contraindications to different medicines that you really have to be careful. Like people that even spread CBD oil on themselves, if they're taking a medicine that it's just much
It can
more.
react with, yeah, that's a really good point.
That. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Even
And
the
so,
topical.
but I wanted to ask you about like an individualized thing. So you had mentioned groups. I know you do in-person and online, right, too, as well. Do you group, if you have a group of folks who are dealing with this, do you put them together? Does it matter like what part of the journey they're on, if they're in remission versus like they're really still not feeling well, or if they've just recently maybe gone through chemotherapy treatment and they're a little bit more weak? How do you individualize things, I guess I want to say, with them?
Well, I've just started with the group training, and I'm working with Ann's Place. It's an organization that's in Danbury, Connecticut. So we're and they assist cancer clients and even their families with free services. So
Oh, wow.
we have just done a kind of, we're working on how we're going to do this, because I really want to do a level 1, like you're saying, and a level 2. But I keep my group small because I really need to see everybody. And Zoom is just so small. And with COVID, we haven't been able to really see each other in person.
I was going to mention COVID, Yvonne. So obviously during the height of the pandemic, you were doing everything online. Are you at this point, particularly with these clients, are you kind of in a hybrid situation right now, or how is that working for you?
Yeah, I'm in a hybrid situation because of, and depends on where my clients are in treatment, because some of their doctors are saying absolutely no, no going out in groups,
Right.
so no, even personal training, because I see other people, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that either. So it's up to what their doctor has to say,
Right. So you're kind of working. So when you speak to somebody new who's coming to you, you probably talk to them. Do you work at all? Do they ask you to ask something of their doctor, or do they just fill you in? Here's what my doctor's orders are. This is what I'm allowed or not allowed to do, etc. How does that work?
No, I give them a form and they have to have their doctor sign off on it.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
what happens is, yeah, one of my clients, she's like, oh, she had a surgery. She was like, yeah, no, my doctor says fine. I'm like, no, usually it's because through the certification, I've researched how long, it's going to take for them to, come back to exercise. And I'm like, no, I think it's 10 weeks. I think it's 8 weeks. I'm like, well, let's see what the doctor says.
I know.
She's like,
That's really good, Yvonne. This way all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, right? You've gone to their individual physician and now you know what they're capable of in terms of their medical backgrounds and stuff.
yeah. And besides, you never want them coming back too soon, and then you're getting discouraged because you can't do as much. And, it's all so mental, and I'm there to make them feel better and help them feel better, not make them go a step backwards, so.
Right. And that's important with the whole mood aspect of things too, right?
Absolutely.
Do you feel that if, whether it's online or in person, that it's helpful when it's not an individual class, when they do have other folks that are there taking the class who are going through something similar? Obviously, everybody's journey is very individual, but that whole idea of knowing these folks get what I'm going through too, and they're in the class with me. Do you find that that's helpful too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what I do for, groups like that, we'll just kind of introduce ourselves, and I make it a 6-week program. So we all start at the same time, we'll end at the same time.
Okay.
Right. And so it's not like we're all starting like, oh, I'm the expert, or, so start at the same time, end at the same time. We introduce ourselves, and every session we start talking, how you feel, and then everyone's cheering you on, going, okay, it's okay. You don't, you can do this. And then at the end, you did it. So it's so amazing. And it's very, it's inspirational for everybody. They're encouraging you because they've been through the same thing. So it is really important that you're kind of in the same space. Or that happened to me 5 years ago. You hear so much of that.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like there's this safe space where they feel like their improvement within their own ability is accepted and celebrated, which
Absolutely.
is so important too, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have
like, you could do this workout sitting down today? They're like, really? Yeah, absolutely. The workout's just as good. Like, you can do this sitting down. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I'm sitting down today. Abs. And, I'm like, you just never know. You wake up in the morning, and you don't always feel the same way.
I know. Some days you have way more energy, right?
Yep. And you could do the same exact thing. And that brings me to my client base is really over 40, 50 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually probably that's going to be your group of people with this particular certification are going to have a higher percentage of people dealing with these particular issues anyway, over 40, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any success stories? You don't have to mention names or anything, but I'm just wondering, from doing this with people where you saw somebody maybe come in and they were really down or they weren't able to do much. I just was wondering if you could share with our listeners some successes you've seen and how that's made you feel.
Well, there's so many, but I have a bunch, but one of my clients, he's been struggling with cancer for so many years. And, when he was put on this, one treatment, he was like, I'm going to lose it. Because they tell you all the worst things that could happen. And he's like, I'm going to lose my muscle. I'm like, no, we're fighting it. And he's been able to keep his muscle tone up and, you know, work out every single, he's never canceled. And we meet early. So it's just like amazing. And he just, and it's wonderful because he's staying really strong.
And his mood's probably improved too, right?
Oh my gosh.
Self-esteem and all of that about what's going through. Because self-esteem is kind of a big thing with your cancer clients probably, right? With hair loss and muscle loss and, you know, dark circles, like all of those terrible things that start to happen when your body's shutting down and then you're trying to fight it and your immune system isn't there. And, you know, just moving and getting your blood flowing and having other people there to support you, all of that, you know, besides the exercise has to really pump them up and make them feel better as well, I'm sure.
Because depression is like a major hurdle, you know. I mean, some of my clients can't get out of bed in the morning, and I'm like, I'm coming to your house. You're getting out of bed. I had his wife drag him out of bed. I was like, we're doing this, and then of course I'm so happy I'm out of bed and I'm feeling better, and you know, that's just wonderful because it's hard. Some days I really have to take a step back, and I did go on a vacation, which really was needed, and because I want to
recharge. I have to remind myself of that all of the time, Yvonne. And actually, I've had a lot of business women, on this program and who've been interviewed in the magazine and everything. And we're all struggling with that same thing. So many of us are so passionate, right? And then we forget to recharge ourselves and to take care of ourselves. That whole work-life balance thing is something I think everybody struggles with.
Right. Yeah, no. And, you feel guilty when I was like, but I sent videos to all my clients. I'm like, you're going to do this when I'm gone. And they did, which is good.
I know. And especially in your case, because at the same time that this kind of a thing, it's part of your business and you do other things, but this kind of a thing must bring you so much joy in a way that you're actually able to help people who are struggling like this. But then at the same time, when you go to try to help yourself or leave or go off the grid because it's good for your mental health and just your sanity, then you have that guilt thing going on. I can imagine that. But I'm so glad to hear that they kept up with your homework instructions.
Yes, they did. Some of them did, but yeah, it's okay.
That's great. That's great. Well, I've been talking a little bit about, the fact that you have all these other types of programs and things and types of clients you work with. Do you want to let our listeners know a little bit more about your business, other things that you do besides your certification to work with cancer patients?
Well, I'm a personal trainer, which really means I am a personal trainer. That's what I do. I go to people's homes, I train them at home, or I can do it on Zoom. That's really what I love to do. As a cancer exercise specialist or as, just regularly helping you prevent cancer, because that exercise prevents cancer. So, so that's really what I love. Like when I say, and then I have my groups. I love my groups, but I am like a personal person. Like I'm literally in the screen looking at everybody. Like I'm just like, okay, Jean, what are you doing?
I know that's probably the hard part about the virtual thing, right?
I do love it, but I make sure everyone's screen is perfect. You're tilting it right. There's a light on. There's no cat. But that does happen, but it's okay. But yeah, so I do like the groups because there's such camaraderie. So I do love that. I loved it more in person, but I'm glad we were able to still be together in some way.
And so for your industry, because, this whole pandemic, of course, threw all industries for a loop, right? And now some corporations and businesses are back full time, some are still hybrid, some of them are still home. But I think there's sort of, we have this big push for telehealth, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, then you have people that have physical challenges or the elderly who would prefer to be home. So do you see this virtual world in your industry remaining as a strong arm to businesses such as your business? Do you see that,
absolutely.
remaining, I guess I want to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like we live in the Northeast when it snows. It's like, okay, well, we're snowed in. Let's
You
get,
can't get there because of the roads, right?
yeah.
That's
So we
another
just
good point.
our backup is Zoom now. So which is good. I have a client who has a home in Florida. She's like, oh, we'll just do Zoom the weeks I'm there. So it does work out. It's very
It's more flexible that way. You used
yeah.
to have to cancel class, right?
Right. I used to have to cancel class. Now it's like it could be on Zoom. Some people don't like it at all, and which is fine. But those people who don't mind that or like that flexibility, it keeps you consistent.
Right, right. And so do you have, before we sign off, I'm wondering, do you have a special moment or special time during your years in the business that you're like particularly proud of, or anything that's happened to you that you want to share with our audience, like in terms of, where you've been when you first started in the business and where you are now? Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
Um, it's been a journey. I mean, I used to work at a gym, and
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, and I didn't love all their practices because I was more of like when I did my group classes, I was more of like, no, you can't take this class again. And my boss would be like, no, you have to take everybody. I'm like, no, this is a high intense class. I don't want them getting hurt. Like, so I was more like, so, and then the nutrition part, I was like, you can't eat a Big Mac and come in. No, it's not going to work. So I needed to kind of get into my own space so I could help my clients with, I do help them with
The way
nutrition.
you felt, and you
Yeah.
needed to individually help them. I think
Yes.
that's
So
wonderful. That's
yeah, 'cause it's like
wonderful.
you can't do this and you can't do that. So I was like, okay, let me see how I can navigate this health spot. It's not just about losing weight. It's about feeling good. It's about looking good from the inside out. And I don't think a lot of people go, oh, why is your skin so? I drink a lot of water, I eat good. Once I don't eat, like, drink a lot of water and I don't eat good, it comes right out.
The
Like,
water is so important, isn't it? Like
mhm,
for everything.
forever.
I was one of those folks who did not drink enough water several years ago. I have really made the change. I constantly have water now at my
And your
desk.
skin looks amazing. See?
And circulation and blood pressure and all of that, right? I
Right.
tell my parents this all the time. It's for everything, right? Staying hydrated. It's
Yeah.
so important. So drink water, folks. Drink water, drink water.
Drink water, not Pepsi. I'm trying. I was like, oh, she said coffee. Maybe I should make coffee. I'm like, I don't drink coffee after 12. So I made some.
I have to have a little bit of coffee though. I love the coffee and conversation, right? Although I do have water in here right now
Mhm.
because I'm the same way. Since I've gotten older, I try not to drink coffee past 2 in the afternoon ish.
Mhm.
And I drink less of it now. Like back when I was in grad school, I used to drink like a pot and a half. Oh, what that was doing to my insides, God knows.
Yeah.
But so I've cut way down and I stopped drinking later in the day. But I just so love coffee. I love the smell. I love the taste. And if I don't have it in the morning, I don't know what to do with myself.
Me
But
too.
I've been drinking herbal teas and things like that in the evening if I want something, and I'm definitely drinking more water. So I guess I should pat myself on the back about that.
Can't be perfect. That's what I'm like. We can't be perfect. I am certainly not perfect. So I'm just trying to do the best for, my clients, people that are out there that are interested in learning about, how I set up my exercise, you know, plans for each individual person. Because, everyone's so different. Everyone needs a different exercise, whether, so it's like one of my clients had abdominal surgery. If they have a forward lean because they have that scar tissue, I create the plan where we're strengthening their abdominals and lengthening because to correct their posture. So it's
Perfect.
so specific. So when I do a group class, I'm like, if you've had, and then I'll do the lymphatic drainage exercises to go along with, you know, my cancer clients. So yeah, it's very personalized. That's why I do take a lengthy intake form so I know where everybody's been as far as
Right.
surgeries, what, treatments and where they are right now. So, I could say this class isn't for you, or this class is for you. That kind of
Right, exactly. So it's super individualized. I love to hear that. We're going to
thing.
have your URL at the end of this, Yvonne. Can both, regular clients that aren't having particular health issues, as well as some of your cancer patients, everything's there in terms of contact information right from your webpage. Okay. So
Absolutely.
anything else before we sign off? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed being here, and I love Sanctuary, and I'm telling people about it. They're like, oh, I haven't heard about it. Like, oh, you got to read it.
I know. Thank you so much. That's what we hope. We hope that folks that love what we're doing will share with others. We've been growing organically all along, but we just keep growing and growing. That's the important thing. And I just love it. It comes from my heart, and the folks on my team, it comes from their hearts as well. And I think it shows in the publication. And then, of course, we have wonderful guests like you on the show, which is also awesome. So, our readers, our sponsors, our guests, everybody's part of the community. And it's just a positive space. We need that today, I think. I think everybody needs
Absolutely,
that. So,
absolutely. And you need to know what's out there, the knowledge to help. There's so many, health, professionals out there with yoga and, Pilates. You need it all.
yes.
I always tell
And
people,
there's so many different alternative therapies now to choose from, and it's something works differently for everybody, right? So I love that there's so many different types of things that you can choose from that work for you. Even just breathing. I've been doing a lot of breath work because I tend to have a little bit of anxiety, and that really helps that. So, and we've had people, on that talk about all of these different things, and it's so important. And I'm so glad to have you on today, and I appreciate your expertise. And I guess I'll sign off then, as I always do, by wishing all of our listeners and our readers good health, happiness, and continued inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us.